Welcome back to a brand new review for Moonknight episode 2. And what was the name of that episode? It's like- I had it right here in front of me. It was not the goldfish problem. It is the Summon the Suits, which is the name of episode 2. Um, got this episode. This came out. Sherelle. I'm sorry. It's Terrell, and I'm Sherelle. I'm sorry. I'm Terrell, and this is Sherelle. I'm all over the place today. Terrell, what did you think about episode 2, Summon the Suits?
I like this one better than the first one,
Better
but
pacing.
because it gives you more detail of actually of like the like kind of like what happens between Steven and Mark. And you kind of can get some of the history as far as like the gods, like Amid and Gonshu. So you get to see, some a little bit more information and a little bit more dynamic in this episode.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. I mean, the first one, I feel like it was kind of all over the place, and you really get to see a little bit more or a little bit more insight as to what's going on and who Mark is, and this other personality that he has inside his head, or they occupy the same body on top of Khonshu speaking to him, messing with him.
Right.
But this, like I said, it's pretty solid episode. And this episode you see your boy Mark get fired from the museum, because he can't keep living this double life. You know what I mean? He's skipping time. He wakes up. So apparently when he does these switches, like the other person just has like no control. Like you have to either like verbally surrender the control, which is crazy, or however they do it. But you black out and you just lose all sense of time. So we see in episode 1, like he misses out on the date with the unnamed woman that they never said the name of.
Right.
And then on this one, like you said, he gets fired because he's not showing up for work. And then, like I said, and then this episode 2, we also get to find out, like you said, a little bit more about Khonshu. And like I said last time, I know nothing about Moonknight, so everything coming into this is new. What do you think about kind of the MCU just bringing in old Egyptian gods to the point, like I said, we know the Asgardians exist and they're viewed as gods, but that we're getting into like really like astral gods and stuff like that.
Right.
They're bringing that to the MCU.
It's a lot along the lines of like what I was saying in the last review, like how it was with like Eternals, where we got to see some of like the history with the Celestials, and it's very much going into a lot of Marvel has this mythology, but it takes it from different different nationalities in a way. So, but I told you I'm all for the Egyptian history. I love it. Egypt is like one of my dream trips to go on. So, but it's really dope. And then you get to see what's going to kind of like transpire in the next episode with them going to Egypt. So it's really dope to kind of get some information about the gods and like how what I guess not even less necessarily like how the gods selected them, but you see where Mark was dying and Khonshu was saying like I chose you and you were dying, and so basically you got to do what I tell you to do. So yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder if we'll get more of that history or like some type of flashback as to what actually happened. When he originally, because they explained that Mark no, Mark is his avatar basically.
Mm-hmm.
So this is all, and apparently these different gods, they all have different avatars and stuff like that.
Right.
But like just to see like what that origin was, because like you said, they already kind of jump you right into the story, and it's kind of going. So we don't really see the origin of the character. He's already kind of established at this point, like, and he's clearly been doing this for a while.
Right.
And like I said, the episode, it's him. The episode's called Summon the Suit. So we, after the first episode, we see it, but he's not doing it on will, basically.
Right. And then we also need to see like how Arthur went from Khonshu to Amit. So like how he got rid of how Arthur was no longer Khonshu's avatar. So yeah, it's a lot of little things that we got to figure out, but it was definitely. I think it's going to get better as like the season goes on.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's been good so far. So I think last episode we were talking about when Layla popped in the picture. She definitely comes into the picture in episode 2.
Yeah.
So apparently Layla is Mark's wife, not Steven.
Right.
Mark.
Mark's
So,
wife.
I'm confused. She seems pretty cool. I mean, she seems like she has like a kind of Laura Croft feel to her to a certain extent.
I see it.
What did you think about? I mean, I looked up the actress, and she doesn't really have a long filmography from what I can see. So I mean, she's brand new to me. What do you think about her as playing?
I like her character. I like her commentary between her, the commentary between her and Steven, but then also the connection that she also has with Mark. But I actually like the addition of her story, and I also like the fact that we're actually seeing love in Marvel. We don't get to see it too often, and then it's so devastating when we do see it. So
Yeah, they got to kill the significant other real quick.
Yeah, so it's nice to see some.
You can't have no siblings either.
Yeah,
Wanda the
they all die. I hope she doesn't die. But no, and then especially like with her character potentially being the next Avatar. So I think
right, they do hint at that, like pretty much. If like he doesn't want to do it, then they'll get Layla. Layla is the alternative choice, and pretty much like it's almost like that he's trying to save her from this life or whatever Khonshu brings with him.
Exactly.
Because Khonshu's like the Batman Ghost Rider basically, because Ghost Rider also has like he judges people's sins. He does like the penance there and stuff like that. You've seen Ghost Rider, but
yeah.
But yeah, she's definitely interested in that whole rooftop chase is ridiculous. And then like we find out that the police that they sent over to the house were like of course they weren't real.
Yeah, they were called.
It just goes with them.
Yeah.
So
one of Archie's minions.
Right. There's a lot of back and forth. Like I said, the idea of like Mark or Steven having to surrender control to Mark to kind of switch the personality. He can't just do it when he wants, which seems to kind of contradict itself, because like there's a lot of, especially in the first episode, a lot of scenes where he just switches.
And it's the mirrors too, so they can't switch without the mirrors.
Right. Like they have to see the mirror reflection of
it's like the reflection situation, which is kind of crazy because we don't often see like what Mark's doing while Steven sleeps. So when we see Steven waking up, Mark's already gone. So we don't actually see how Mark is taking over, but it seems like based on like the dialogue that they had, it was had something to do with the reflections and surrendering, the control that way.
Yeah, I definitely thought that was interesting.
But it is a contradiction, because then it's like at some point you don't see, and before now you don't see him asking or surrendering. You just kind of see Mark taking over. But Mark is also the lead body. So what do you think about the suits and the transitions? Because we were just talking about how they were, needing them to have their reflections in order for them to switch bodies and take over. And then also what's happening between like when Steven's sleep and Mark takes over, the contradiction there. But like, what do you think about their suits and the difference in their suits?
The suits, I really like the way they did it. CJ looks amazing for that. I mean, mixed between obviously CG and practical, like and him wearing an actual suit, but like the suits reflect his personality, and like because before like it's like put the suit on, and he has no clue what they're talking about, so he puts an image of what he thinks the suit is.
Yeah.
So he's actually wearing like a suit with the mask and everything like that, and I really like that look. I mean, it just doesn't come with like the other abilities and the weapons and stuff that Khonshu's like armor comes with. He explains that like that's armor. It gives him like regenerative properties and stuff like that, so he heals and everything like that. One of the reasons that probably one of the reasons why Mark was able to come back to life, because of the suit. But I really like the transition and the transformation between those two suits, and how they're used. Doesn't seem like Moonknight really has. I thought he could fly, like super strength or something. Maybe he does have super strength. They don't really get into it.
Steven has the strength because when he punched that thing, what is it? Some kind of hound or whatever they called it, but he punched it and he was like, "Oh wow, I didn't know I could do that." So it looks like he might have some strength, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But like I said, I mean, I really like the way that he can just kind of transform back and forth and turn it on at will. Once he actually has control. I mean, Mark obviously has done this before. He's put the suit on back and forth, and which is one of the reasons why Mark's like, let me take over, so he can put the full, the suit that you see in the pictures and everything like that full suit on,
Right.
in the scene. It's pretty cool. I mean, a lot of this stuff is at night too. I'm not sure
Yeah,
if that's on purpose
yeah.
or
It's on purpose because they need the moon, and then that's like how his powers work. He's at his strongest during a full moon, but it has to be nighttime for him to be able to fully activate his
really.
powers.
That sucks.
Well, I think he can use them at any time, but I think he's his strongest at night when the moon is there
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
because he draws strength from the moon.
Yeah, and then we find out what was the guy's name? What's the actor's name?
Arthur.
Yeah, like what his whole reason is, like why he's like pursuing him, why he needs the scarab.
Yeah,
They're trying to find the tomb of I cannot pronounce that god's name.
Ahmed. I think her name's
Ahmed.
Ahmed. Yeah,
Yeah, they're trying to find that tomb. So we're pretty much like they're setting up like pretty much like the story is like they're trying to avoid at all costs of letting him get that because that could mean big business. So they don't want
yeah,
that to happen. But at the same time, we're still trying to figure out why who is Khonshu and like what's going on with this and why he's chosen Mark as his avatar. But like I said,
right.
we get a little piece by piece of like what's going on in the story. But overall, it was a really good episode. I mean, definitely good build up. But just like I said, it's a lot of night scenes in this show. I mean, obviously it's called Moonknight. It's like,
Yeah,
yeah,
you get in the daytime when Steven's awake and going to work, and then everything else is at nighttime.
right. But anything else? Did you have anything else that you want to say? On the episode?
No, overall, I like this episode. I definitely like this episode better than the first one. I think we get a little bit more of the bigger picture and like the kind of like the idea of like who Moon Knight is and like the history, and then kind of like where we could potentially see the rest of like the show going. So overall, I think I really enjoyed this episode better than the first one, and I mean I'm gonna keep watching it.
Yeah, I definitely need to see how this ends because this leads right into Doctor Strange. So I can't wait. I hope to see
Yeah,
Moon Knight in the movies. So on that note, this was episode 2. Put on the suits, and I'm Terrell,
I'm Sherelle.
and we will catch you for episode 3. See you.